YouTube, another blockbuster trade at the NBA trade deadline. Jimmy Butler is officially a Warrior, and this comes off the heels of his troubled season with the Miami Heat, to say the least, and a lot of rumors about him only wanting to be a Phoenix Sun, and he wouldn't extend anywhere else. This is a 5-team blockbuster deal that we're going to cover in this video. We're going to talk about the entire full trade details of this package for each team, and then we're going to talk about what exactly this means for the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors in particular this season and in the long term. This is part 3 of the blockbuster series, folks. They just keep coming. It's like clockwork, and today could be another one. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, and like on this video. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing a full recap of every trade made during the trade deadline. So if you want to see that, make sure you guys subscribe with notifications turned on. Without further ado, let's get right into the third blockbuster trade of this deadline. So I'm going to put a picture up on screen from the Hoop Central Twitter account, and basically here are all of the updated trade details. Now this is actually a 5-team deal, which was not reported on originally, but now we have the full information. The Golden State Warriors get Jimmy Butler, obviously. The Miami Heat are going to get Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, and a protected first-round pick. I believe it is top 10 protected, so that is kind of interesting. Detroit, Utah, and Toronto sneak into this deal. Detroit ends up with Lindy III and Josh Richardson. Utah ends up with Dennis Schroder, and Toronto ends up with Kyle Anderson. So a massive 5-team deal there. A couple, teams getting in on the action like Toronto, Utah, and Detroit, but mainly we're going to be focusing on the Warriors and the Heat. Now, it was rumored again that Jimmy Butler wouldn't actually extend with the team other than the Phoenix Suns that he gets traded to, and I thought that might have been the case, so it was going to be interesting after the trade. And then like 5 minutes later, this tweet comes out and a bunch of others just like it, saying that Jimmy Butler has signed a 2-year extension with the Golden State Warriors for $121 million. So he is going to be likely a Warrior for the next 2.5 years. And so I'm like, okay, well, there goes that idea, right? That he won't come back to Golden State after the offseason. This is really happening, folks. Steph and Jimmy Butler. I want to start with the Warriors because we're going to talk about how this affects them this year. How does Steph and Jimmy fit? How does it fare in the long term? And then we'll get into the Heat. But with the Warriors, right? A lot of people are saying this is a bad deal for the Warriors. You're locking in this guy on big money who's getting older. He's created some problems in the past with teams he didn't want to be on. I think personally that is nonsense. I think, Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, these are Hall of Fame caliber players, and they might be a little bit older, but these guys are, proven winners, okay? And they are smart, high basketball IQ, and they are all committed to winning at the highest level. They're going to go all in this season with their effort and their mindset. And as far as Jimmy Butler, I think people are just looking at his stats this season and being like, oh, he's washed, right? But you actually don't know what you're talking about if you think that, because I personally think Jimmy Butler was coasting a little bit this season, and I think he does that throughout the regular seasons. And also, I just don't think he was happy in Miami, and so you're not getting playoff Jimmy necessarily, and I do believe that is still locked away in him whenever he needs to bring it out. And as far as him with the Warriors go, I mean, this is a situation where you bring in a bona fide second star to Steph. It could be a 1A, 1B type situation. You now have your top end talent to go compete with all these other teams in the West. Before it was like, Steph and a lot of good role players, but now you have that second guy. And by the way, I keep saying this, people just forget so easily. No one really has done more with less than Jimmy Butler in a lot of these, past 5 years, okay? Jimmy Butler has not been on by any means necessary any super teams with the Miami Heat, all right? Bam Adebayo is a great player, and Tyler Hero is a great player, and, the Heat culture and Eric Spoelstra is a great coach, great organization, right? Jimmy Butler, constantly was overperforming this team to the finals, to the conference finals year after year, beating teams they had no business beating. Jimmy Butler putting the team on his back situation after situation. Are you telling me right now you want to face Jimmy Butler in the playoffs in the first, second round? Absolutely not. And now with Steph Curry behind him and Draymond Green and these proven winners and a lot of these good young role players, Jonathan Kuminga, Golden State has a really good deep team, okay? And they have a good mix of now youth and star talent and veteran leadership and proven winners with a 5-time NBA championship coach. This team's scary to me. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about this contract and, this situation. I think they got immensely better. Their ceiling got incredibly higher just by this trade alone. And so you obviously, on the basketball floor, you lose Andrew Wiggins, and you're going to miss his versatile defense. You're going to miss his, catch and shoot ability. You're going to miss his perimeter lockdown switch ability, okay? But you had Jimmy Butler, all right? And he's still a really great defender when he wants to be. And again, late in a, late game situation, he is this team's closer now. He's a great playmaker still. He is a great shot maker. And when he really wants to be Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, he's almost as good as any closer in the entire league. We're talking about a player, like I said, that has just absolutely defied the odds so many years in the playoffs, and I just don't want to see this team in a play-in tournament. I don't want to see them in a first-round matchup with, a Western Conference team, and so this is an absolutely W move, all right? People wanted the Warriors to go out and get a star. Well, guess what? They got one, and now that they got one, people are upset. I don't know. Listen, from a Sixers fan perspective, you guys are gonna be really happy in Golden State, all right? I know it's been a while since he played here, but this guy is a problem in the playoffs, all right? And you just need that extra star power, and you need that extra ability to win big games, okay? And he's just gonna provide that for you. He's absolutely one of the greatest clutch performers, in this era, okay? And he is going to provide that in Golden State. And now he's motivated. Now he's in the good situation, and you're going to see a very different player than you've seen early in the season. They have such, people are worried about the fit. They have such smart players and, such a good coach and good system. This is going to work itself out. When you put enough high IQ, great players together, eventually, even if their skill sets don't necessarily match 100%, eventually they'll figure it out, and they'll start optimizing their rotations and their game plans. This is an A+ move for the Warriors. I don't know how else to put it. And the fact that you didn't have to give up a Jonathan Kuminga or a lot of draft picks, I don't know what else you want from the Warriors. They got their guy. Now, as far as the Miami Heat, I actually think you get pretty good value on this return, all right? Everybody knew that you were going to trade Jimmy Butler. You had no leverage in this situation, and you still walk out of it with Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is a really dynamic defender and a, really good two-way wing. He is excellent as a, kind of a souped-up 3-and-D role player, all right? He is going to fit that culture so well, and he's going to provide a lot of value on both ends for the Heat. He seems like the type of player they just love. This is actually a great move. This is a great fit, and you get PJ Tucker, an expiring contract, and also that protected first-round pick. And so this is good value to get an Andrew Wiggins back for a situation where this guy wasn't even going to play for you guys this year, and he definitely wasn't coming back in the offseason. Andrew Wiggins is really good value. This is all short-term stuff. I like what the Pistons did, getting Josh Richardson, a player that you could maybe see in a role on this team, provides good defense, has been a pretty versatile player for a long time. These other teams didn't really give up much, and so you got to be pretty happy for those teams. You also get Lindy Waters, who was actually shooting pretty well for the Warriors this season and provided some value there. Utah gets Dennis Schroder. He will not play in Utah for a very long time. I would imagine he might even be moved today. I think there's going to be some teams interested in Dennis Schroder. Still a really good playmaker, still a good shooter, and just a good option as a, six-man kind of point guard or even a starter, right? And he's long and able to move his feet defensively. I think you'll get a Dennis Schroder trade out of Utah at some point, or a buyout potentially. And Toronto gets Kyle Anderson. This is another team that's made really good moves at the deadline, who we'll talk about tomorrow most likely. Warriors lose Kyle Anderson, Dennis Schroder, obviously. I don't think the Schroder fit was great necessarily, and Lindy Waters and Andrew Wiggins could be a little bit of a problem with the rotation, but I just don't think so for the Warriors. They have so much depth. Imagine this starting lineup: Steph Curry, maybe Brandon Pajemski even plays the 2, and then Jimmy Butler at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and probably TJD at the 5. You have so much depth though behind that starting 5. It doesn't sound absolutely flashy on paper, but think about this depth you have in this rotation. If you're the Warriors, you have a really good big man rotation with TJD, Kevon Looney. You have awesome depth at the wing with guys like Moses Moody and guys like Buddy Hield, Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton, Brandon Pajemski. This small ball lineup's going to go so hard for the Warriors, and then Draymond Green's going to be your 4, obviously, but you could do anything at the 2 realistically. You could go all shooting around Jimmy Butler, which actually would make a lot of sense to pair up Jimmy Butler and Steph. So you'd have Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and TJD. That's a great lineup. Or you could go Moses Moody. Probably depend a lot on matchups and stuff like that, but I just think this is an awesome move for the Warriors, who still have a really deep and versatile roster on both ends of the floor. And so I really like this deal. I might be crazy in thinking this, but I just think this is a great fit for the Warriors, and I think it's going to be, a big time ceiling booster this season. We look at where they are right now in the standings, and they are just a game, not even a game. They are basically tied with the Phoenix Suns for the 10th seed at 25 and 25. They have a real opportunity here to make some big strides towards the playoffs. The Clippers are only 3 games ahead of them at the 6th seed, and so there's a lot of teams in the mix there that did get better, but at the end of the day, this team is going to be hunting for a playoff spot, and I think they could actually achieve it based on their roster, based on how important they know it is to get out of that play-in tournament. And so even if they end up in a play-in tournament, I wouldn't hate that for them, but I will say they got a good shot at the playoffs, all right? And even if they make the play-in tournament, this is not a team I want to see in the play-in tournament at like a 1-game scenario with Steph and Jimmy and Draymond and these guys, and how they compete and how Coach Kerr prepares them. And so you have a real shot at the playoffs, and like I said, Steph and Jimmy in any given series, it's not a given that you're going to beat them no matter who you are, and so you can't take that lightly. This team can compete for, a conference final this year, I think. think, and maybe even potentially more if everything goes well for them. Could even see more moves at the time of recording this. The deadline is about an hour and a half away, or 2 hours and a half away, so could see more roster moves there. But this is now a team I would fear in the playoffs, like I said. And so long term, obviously you have your window. You know, this is your window, but you do still have young talent like Kuminga, like Podziemski, like Moody, and some of these guys. And so you have, and TJD, you know, you have some flexibility there long term, but you know, this is your window. It's 2 years, it's 3 years, right? That's how much longer Steph is probably going to even play, and that's how much longer he's going to have, you know, at this level. And I would imagine the same thing with Jimmy and Draymond. And so you got your guy, you got your window. You know, things can always change, but at this point, you know, this could be it for the Warriors. And so definitely a team I'm going to be interested to see how they finish the season, and you know, where they kind of rank towards the end of the season in standings. As far as the Miami Heat, they obviously get better through this trade because Jimmy Butler wasn't even going to play for them, and now you just add another really good defensive piece in Andrew Wiggins, who's going to shore up the wing position. Another team that's getting deeper, right? And Andrew Wiggins just, you know, a great fit for the Heat, and you basically get a free, amazing two-way wing again for a guy that just wasn't going to put on your uniform again this year. And so you have to be super thrilled about that if you're the Heat, and he fits Heat culture. And so just a great move from everybody, I feel. And honestly, I like the trade for the Warriors a lot more than like everybody I'm seeing. Okay, but only time will tell. You know, I could be wrong, they could be wrong, we'll have to see. But if you want to see, you know, more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe. Again, we're going to be doing a video tomorrow that's going to be recapping every single trade that happened, you know, up to this point, and there'll be more at the time of recording this. There'll be more trades to come because it isn't even the deadline yet. And so a full deadline recap, we're going to dive into each trade just like this, you know, probably tomorrow night. I'm going to be dropping that, so hopefully guys, you know, stick around. Subscribe if you guys are new. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Let me know down in the comments section who won this trade. Is it good for the Warriors? Is it bad for the Warriors? Do you disagree with my take? A lot of you guys probably are gonna, and that's fine. You know, we could talk about it in the comments. I think that, you know, leads to good, productive conversation. I just love talking hoops, and so it's a great thing for me as well. But if you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, comment, notifications on for that video tomorrow, and hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day today. Warriors fans, you guys got a good one, and I think your ceiling is much higher than it was yesterday, and so good luck in the playoffs. Have to see how it pans out, but I really like it. Subscribe to my other 2 channels, links are down in the description. More uploads to come on those. Follow my Twitter, links down in the description. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. This has been Jimmy Butler Blockbuster Trade Part 3 at the trade deadline. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day today. This is your boy D-Have, and as always, peace.